A team that features some crazy picks like Ceruledge, Mega Kangaskhan, Choice Scarf Lucario, and non-Mega Starmie was able to get top 10 in the recent Global Challenge. We're going to be trying out this team and seeing how well it can perform. As you can see on your screen, this is a wild team that was able to get 10th place in the recent Global Challenge for Pokemon Champions. Let's break it down. So first Pokemon up is going to be the Ceruledge, and Ceruledge is a Ghost Fire type with really strong offensive coverages, and Bitter Blade is a really nice fire type attack because it is a 90 base power fire move that also heals the Ceruledge based on how much damage it does to the opponent. So it can be really nice, especially with bulk up, because you can be able to take attacks with the Ceruledge and then you can dish out a lot of damage with Bitter Blade and then heal back the damage that you have received. So can be really nice here. And one thing that's also great about Ceruledge, a fire type that's actually resistant to the Fairy Mons and is able to actually, heal back with the Bitter Blade, which is super solid, and also immune to Charizard Y attacks because of the fact that Flash Fire does mean that it doesn't take any damage from fire type moves, and it even powers up its own fire type moves, so can be very useful into the common Charizard Y sets that run Heat Wave, Weather Ball, and Solar Beam. You pretty much just wall those sets, so very effective potential sweeper. You have this Ceruledge, which is just going to be max attack to dish out as much damage as possible. You're not running Swords Dance, you're running bulk up, so you have the defense boost, which can be useful into King Gambit, Aqua Jet, Basculegion, so you kind of want the defense boost, so kind of important to have the defense boost. So you actually need a lot of attacks so you can actually dish out as much damage, especially if your Ceruledge isn't able to get multiple bulk ups off because of the fact that it does have quite a few weaknesses, especially into a lot of the mons in the format. So something you do have to keep in mind. And then just a lot of HP to take attacks generally pretty well. And then the speed is able to speed creep some of those Pokemon that are EV to like outspeed the Scarf Basculegion under Tailwind. So you're able to kind of speed creep those Pokemon if they aren't in Tailwind. So next Pokemon we have is going to be a Choice Scarf Lucario. And this Lucario does have the inner focus ability to prevent it from getting affected by Intimidate, but as well as preventing it from fake out flinches, which is pretty solid. And the EV spread on the Choice Scarf Lucario, just max HP and max speed. The reason you want to run max speed is there are a few Pokemon in the format like Adamant Scarf Garchomp, the Mega Aerodactyl, that you just don't outspeed if you don't have the max speed on the Lucario with a Jolly Nature. So you do go with that. And then you go with max HP because of the Final Gambit, allowing you to take some knockouts. Of course, there are like quite a few Pokemon that can still live the Final Gambit, but you want to get as much HP as possible off on a Pokemon like such as our Chaladon and a few others, so you do want to go with max HP. It's not really like the biggest damage dealer out here, but Close Combat Meteor Mash will still be able to hurt quite a bit. And the moveset you do have, Close Combat of course for the fighting coverage, Meteor Mash for the steel coverage, good into Eternal Flowhead, good into Sylveon, and Aerodactyl, of course. We have Final Gambit, which is able to take the trade based on the amount of HP that the Lucario has at the current moment. And then Coaching, which is going to be able to increase the attack and defense, can be very useful if you think that the opponent might be scanning for Final Gambit target. They might waste it and go for Protect, and then you can get a Coaching boost onto like one of your other allies, which is super useful. Very tricky Lucario set, especially in the close scene shit. You don't know if it is going to be that Choice Scarf set or if it is going to be a potential Mega Evolution that the opponent might fear. The Lucario generally does want to either Coach boost the Ceruledge or the Kangaskhan, or wants to take a trade with Final Gambit to remove a threat so Ceruledge can set up easier. Next Pokemon we have is going to be the Sableye, and Sableye we've seen it be such a disruptive Pokemon in this format, and it is just really annoying to deal with in a lot of cases. We have a really bulky Citrus Berry Sableye, not running the Roselli Berry this time because you do actually have the Fairy Resist in the Ceruledge, and just going to go for general Citrus Berry just so it can stick around longer on the field. We have a lot of HP on this Sableye with a good amount of defense and then special defense across the board. I don't know what the exact specific calcs are on the Sableye, but across it should be able to tank a lot of attacks generally pretty well. And then, of course, the Encore Disable Disruptive combination is going to be a thing because, of course, Encore locks the opponent into the move that it last used, and then Disable prevents the opponent from using the last move that they used for a couple of turns. So very disruptive ways to handle it. Fake out, so you have double fake out, so you can go for like fake out lead with Ceruledge and go for fake out plus bulk up, which can be nice for allowing the Ceruledge to set up. And then Sunny Day, a way to help out against the rain matchup, but also power up the Bitter Blades from the Ceruledge, so it does more damage, and of course reduce the super effective water type moves onto the Ceruledge, which can be very helpful. And the Prankster ability, of course, gives it a +1 priority to all of the non-attacking moves that the Sableye does have access to, which can be helpful. You are running a relaxed speed nature though, because a lot of the Sableyes, especially if you're running weather, do like to have a negative speed nature, especially in case like you do fight like some Sableyes that, you know, have rain dance, but maybe they decide, hey, I'm gonna just go with like a careful, bold, or etc., like different kind of nature. Then that means that you will generally win the weather war, and at least you have a 50% chance if they are also min speed Sableye. Next Pokemon we have is going to be the Mega Kangaskhan, and Kangaskhan is a pretty interesting Mega. It definitely doesn't have the best damage output in the format, but it does have some utility that it does have access to. Of course, with the Scrappy ability, it is able to hit the Ghost types with the normal type attacks and the fine type attacks, so that can be absolutely useful, especially if you need to fake out a ghost type. So Ceruledge doesn't have to worry about that ghost type getting an attack off, and you can go for the bulk up as well, so that can be very helpful. And then it's also nice because it's a last respect switch in from Basculegion, especially their Choice Scarf, can be very useful. Threatens it with the Sucker Punch, and of course when it does Mega Evolve, it does get access to Parental Bond, so it will have the ability to attack twice, and the baby hit will do a 25% of the initial first hit. So it will be able to at least break Focus Sashes and do a decent amount of damage. The EV spread on this Kangaskhan, this one is a bit updated, so it is able to outspeed Adamant Basculegion after it does Mega Evolve. You have a lot of attack investment because you still want the Drain Punches to hurt and the Sucker Punches as well. Drain Punch in the King Gambit is really important as well. Sucker Punch, of course, in the Basculegions. And then the Double Edge just for the initial damage into like just general threats like Charizard and more can definitely be nice. So the Mega Evolution that is able to support the Ceruledge the most, you have access to, again, Scrappy Fake Out, which is useful, and the type synergy is pretty solid because you do have Kangaskhan weak to fighting, and then Ceruledge, which is the immune to fighting. And of course, that Ceruledge Sableye does make it hard for Sneasler, which is the best fighting type right now, to really wreak havoc. So can be really nice against some teams when you don't have to worry about Sneasler as much. So Kangaskhan going to be a good Mega here to support the Ceruledge, but also just in general pairs pretty nicely with the team. Next Pokemon we have is going to be Focus Sash Starmie with Ice Beam, Psychic Scald, and Protect. So this is just an offensive Starmie. It is a fast speed tier of base 115, so you are able to outspeed a lot of Pokemon in the format. Think of Adamant Sneasers, think of Garchomps that are in Choice Scarf, and you're able to threaten them with the Ice Beam and the Psychic as well. Scald to be able to hit damage into the bulky fires, which is pretty solid across the board. And then Protect, the natural cure ability is pretty nice because if you do get status with Starmie, you can switch out and then you don't have to worry about that status because the status goes bye-bye. And EV spread, pretty simple on the Starmie as its Focus Sash. You just want to maximize your special attack and your speed damage output with the Timid Nature, so you are guaranteed to outspeed again the Adamant Sneasers and the Jolly Garchomps. So that is what the Starmie does. It's supposed to really help out against those Pokemon specifically, which is nice because Ceruledge and Kangaskhan don't exactly have the best time with the Garchomp especially. Final Pokemon on this team is going to be the Hydreigon, and this Hydreigon does have access to a Bond Berry, so it is able to live a Dragon type move like a Dragon Claw or Draco Meteor, and also helps out in the rain matchup specifically. That Levitate ability of course makes it immune to any ground type attacks, which is nice because the team doesn't have a ground resist otherwise. And it does have access to Snarl, which is very useful into Archalon Rain, which does give this team quite a bit of trouble. So you can go for Snarls into the Archalon Sunny Day to, of course, prevent the Electroshot from being able to boost a special attack, so you can whittle down the Archalon to put in Draco Meteor range is kind of the idea with this Hydreigon. So you do want to go for Snarls there. And then just useful, again, being able to resist any ghost type moves as well as any ground type moves, which is just useful in general. And then threaten the Draco Meteor and the Dark Pulse for some pretty heavy damage. EV spread wise, this allows you to outspeed just general like base 90s that are max speed. And across the board, you are able to outspeed again like Archalon guaranteed, which is very useful, as well as some other mons that are common to format. Think of like max speed Basculegion, as well as like some Adamant Garchomps, which is pretty common in this format, and then threaten it with the Draco Meteor. But maximum special attack for the damage output, and then the rest going into HP. So how to use the team? Well, a lot of the team is supporting the Ceruledge because Ceruledge is pretty good at being able to do well into the format, especially with some bulk ups, increasing its attack and defense to take the attacks, and then threatening with priority Shadow Sneak, and then Bitter Blade, a really strong fire type attack that also heals you which is super solid. So that is going to be the main way you are going to be trying to set up, is going to be for Ceruledge. You usually want to be able to use your supports, which is going to be your Fake Out Kangaskhan, as well as your Sableye to help support it. So your general leads will probably be trying to set up the Ceruledge early, with either Ceruledge plus Sableye for the Fake Out pressure and then Encore Disable shenanigans. You could also go with Kangaskhan lead that also threatens the scrappy Fake Out against some Ghost types, which can be useful, and you will be trying to set up those bulk ups with the Ceruledge. You can also lead the Lucario that could go for a final gambit immediately, which is also pretty good for some trades. Or if you expect maybe a double protect, a scout for the final gambit targeting, you could go for coaching and get the boost with Ceruledge immediately to get the attack and defense boost, and you could get like 2 stacks up in one turn. Or you could go for a coaching plus Bitterblade and get some initial offensive threat pressure from the Ceruledge immediately. You can also lead Lucario plus Kangaskhan in some situations. The coaching plus the Kangaskhan can actually be pretty nice to allow Kangaskhan to be able to tank the attacks really well with the defense boost, and then dish out some pretty solid damage with the coaching attack boost as well. And then other leads you can of course lead. Kangaskhan can just generally lead with a lot of things. Like the Kangaskhan can lead with the Starmie or Hydreigon for a bit more offensive pressure with the Fake Out plus like coverage options from Starmie and the Hydreigon. Or you could lead something like just anything with Hydreigon being able to snarl away the special attacker, so maybe Ceruledge can set up. But again, Ceruledge is probably going to be your most common lead, and you do want to try to set up it in most of the games because that's how this team generally wins. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and the creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. But otherwise, let us get started and play some games and see how well Ceruledge performs. Alright, brand new ladder season. We have Aerodactyl, Scovillain, Como, Sneasler, Kingambit, and Sylveon. So we do have 2 potential megas with the Scovillain and the Aerodactyl. Both are pretty threatening here. I don't have Wisp on my Sableye, which would be kind of nice here, but not the worst, I suppose. I do like Ceruledge a lot in this matchup if I can set it up properly. The question is, how do I set it up properly? I'm thinking Hydreigon's probably the least useful member here because the only thing Hydreigon really helps with is going to be the Como. I guess it could be Scovillain useful, but I don't think Scovillain's too big of a concern with the Ceruledge in mind. So trying to set up the Ceruledge, the question is, am I going to go with like Lucario plus the Ceruledge, or am I going to go with something else? I don't really like the Starmie here, although Psychic could be useful. I'm not really considering Sneasler that much of a threat, and neither is Como, I believe. So I think I'm going to do Ceruledge plus the... I think Lucario lead is probably okay, because Scarf Lucario does threaten Mega Aerodactyl. Yeah, I think that's okay with Sableye Kangaskhan back. A lot of this game plan is going to be trying to set up the Ceruledge. That's going to be the pretty key factor. The question is it going to be Swords Dance Kingambit? I kind of doubt it because I don't think it would be on a team that kind of needs to be able to hit those fairies for the Como to set up. So I think it's probably Ironhead on the Mon, as we're going to see Sylveon plus Aerodactyl lead, which is pretty good because Lucario is threatening a lot here on the field. So I do like this a lot. So I'm kind of curious if this is Sash Aerodactyl. It could be Sash or Mega. I think my best play here is just to go for a bulk up immediately with the Ceruledge. And the question is, do I want to go for coaching to get the attack and defense boost immediately, or do I want to go on the offense with a Meteor Mash? I'm kind of okay with just going for the Meteor Mash realistically. I think the damage into the Mega Aerodactyl would be really nice because I don't want to take a super powerful Rock Slide. And if this is going to be a Focus Sash variant, I could put a Shellstick range. We're going to see Como come in, which is fine. And it is Mega Aerodactyl. So we do have Scarf Lucario with Meteor Mash. Let's see if we can take the knockout into this Aerodactyl, because that would be a huge turn 1 if we could just eliminate the Aerodactyl right off the bat. Meteor Mash is going to come out from the Scarf Lucario, and it doesn't take the knock on Aerodactyl, unfortunately, but that is still a really solid amount of damage. Rock Slide going to come out, which it's going to hurt. Yes, Ceruledge didn't exactly love taking that, but it's still acceptable here, assuming we get the bulk up off. Nice. Okay. So we do get a bulk up with the Ceruledge, and I think this is a pretty okay position, as we do get the leftovers with the Ceruledge here. Now the Aerodactyl is in range of Shadow Snake, which is pretty good. So what do I exactly want to do here? I think my best play would probably be, I could be risking potential damage from the Como with Clanging Scales here. So I think my best play is just to protect the Ceruledge and go out into Sableye. The reason I think I like the Sableye play is I do have access to the Encore if they go for Clangor Soul, or the Disable if they go for Clang Scales. And I also have Fake Out Pressure, which is also pretty solid, and I don't think it should be threatened by these two Pokemon here. Aerodactyl going to protect because it is outsped by the Lucario, that makes sense. I wonder if they're going to try to take the knockout with Clang Scales, or if they're going to go for Clangor Soul. So this is the big question here, as it is going to be Aura Spear actually into the Sableye, and I love seeing that because I have two Ghost types on the field. I can go for the Encore into the Como, and I can Shadow Sneak threaten the KO into Aerodactyl. So this ended up being the perfect turn scenario right here. And now I can go for an Encore into the Como, and I can go for a Shadow Sneak into Aerodactyl, and this is a pretty fair mid ground no matter what my opponent does here. And it looks like they're going to give me the Aerodactyl, so Aerodactyl goes down, and then this Como is going to be locked into the Encore trap. So now the Como is going to be heavily discouraged from wanting to stay in because, oh my goodness, it is locked into Aura Spear against two Ghost types. The Ceruledge is healing up, and if you want to threaten the Sableye with your Sylveon, Sunny Day Bitterblade might get it. So we're going to see the Kingambit come in, which does make sense here. Ooh, Sucker Punch is going to be a bit scary. I do have a play though, which I am thinking of going for. So I don't think they're going to Aura Spear here. I think my best play is just to protect my Ceruledge and probably just hard swap into the Kangaskhan. Also, can we just say that Lucario looks really good in this endgame? Like, it looks absurdly good in this endgame. So we're going to see Como retreat. This is going to be the Sylveon, not too surprising, as we are going to be able to also get our Kangaskhan in. And Kangaskhan will threaten very powerful damage with the low kick in mind. So we will bring out the Kangaskhan. Let's see what they decide to go for. I can't go for any Prankster moves against the Kingambit, so no reason to attempt it here, as they go for a Sucker Punch attempt into the Ceruledge. So that makes sense here. I wonder if they go for Hyper Voice here, or if they go for... there's like a few things I could go for, but Sylveon shouldn't threaten the best damage to Kangaskhan. I kind of like going for a bulk up again just for the defense boost and just going for a fake out into the Kingambit. And the reason I like this is because I like having the defense boost so I can take a potential Sucker Punch from the Gambit. So I will go for fake out into Kingambit because Kowtow would probably be the most amount of damage my opponent can do, or low kick, while Sylveon can't do too much. Kingambit going to protect. I assume Sylveon didn't protect, but that's very fair for my opponent. Yeah. Very good play on my opponent's part. Let's see what they decide to go for, but it shouldn't be too much damage here, as we do get the bulk up off with the Ceruledge. So now +2 defense is pretty good. They do go for Hyper Voice, that's fine. And Ceruledge does take that pretty well, I'd say. And also the Kingambit did go for the Protect this turn, so now I can actually still threaten it pretty offensively. I can go for Protects easily with the Ceruledge and just go for a Drain Punch into the Gambit and get my health back. So I don't think this is too bad. It should be Fairy Feather on the Sylveon. The Hyper Voice did a bit too much damage to the Kangaskhan if it isn't a boosting item, so I'm pretty sure that is Fairy Feather. And we will get a Drain Punch into the Gambit and hopefully get all that HP recovery, which would be really nice. So we will protect our Ceruledge here, as they decide to go for the Sucker Punch into the Ceruledge once again. Perfect. And here comes a Drain Punch into the Chople Berry Kingambit, which will affect the first hit but not the second hit. So let's see how much damage this does. This should do an okay amount. As yeah, we get all that recovery, which is nice. Second hit's pretty good. Yep. And we're gonna see the Sylveon go for Hyper Voice again, which is fine. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I do not mind this. Let's do Shadow Sneak's also threatening a lot of damage as well. I could go for Shadow Sneak and a Sylveon plus Double Edge, which is a very fair play. I have like a lot of options that I have here. I do think I should live a Sucker Punch from the Kingambit though, unless it's Black Glasses. Do I want to risk it being Black Glasses? I could realistically. There's also a chance that Gambit protects as well. I think I'm willing to risk it. I think I would be willing to risk it. I am going to go for Bitterblade and I am going to go for Drain Punch into the Gambit. Let's see. Let's see if Sucker Punch KOs. They do Sucker Punch. They target the Kang though because they've been reading the Ceruledge to go for like a Shadow Sneak or something this entire time. I'm able to KO the Kingambit, which is beautiful. And now I should be able to get a Bitterblade off into Sylveon. +2 could KO depending on how bulky this Sylveon is, but if we do KO, we're in fantastic shape as Bitter Blade is going to come out into the Sylveon and it just one-shots it. We get to heal back all that HP with the Bitter Blade, and now it's Como versus the world, and I have a pretty safe spot to go for the win here. So I will hard switch my Kangaskhan into Sableye so I can threaten the Encore because they can't set up, and if they can't set up, they're not doing enough damage to my team. I'm doing too much to them. They know it's a wrap, and that is going to be a good game. So perfect. All right, we have Dragapult or Chaladon Sinistra with the Farigiraf, Gengar, and Hatterene. Definitely some interesting mons right here. You don't really see these too often. Okay, what am I expecting here? They have our Chaladon without rain, which is very interesting. I do like Hydreigon in this. They obviously have a bunch of Snarl weeks. Like, it would be pretty powerful. I am a little bit worried about bringing Ceruledge against multiple ghost types, but okay. I wonder if Starmie's broad here, because Starmie ain't too bad offensively. I think I would love Hydreigon plus... I think maybe I want to have Lucario. Do I want Kangaskhan is the question, because Kangaskhan is nice damage-wise, and I guess like it's kind of hard to utilize Sableye, though Encore Disable would be really nice for specifically our Chaladon, which could be a bit annoying. But I think what I would probably do is just try to brute force with Kangaskhan plus Hydreigon, and then maybe try to find a way that Ceruledge can set up pretty nicely. Ideally being able to get rid of the Giraffe. I'm going to bring Lucario in case I need a final Gambitmon for the Archaladon specifically, which I think is pretty good there. I do have to watch out about Sinistra, and I might time my Mega Evolution delayed just because of the Scrappy ability, because of all the ghost types they have. So let's see what they decide to go for. Going to be our Chaladon Dragapult. So I do have access to Fake Out plus Snarl, which is not a bad play for me. And I actually kind of like it overall. There's not really too much of a punish. They could, of course, go out into Farigiraf for one of the slots, but they go for Farigiraf. They're taking the Snarl damage. They can't KO my Hydreigon because of the Habon Berry, so I will live any Dragon-type move that these Pokemon would want to go for. So I think I'm just going to go for a Fake Out on the Dragapult and go for a Snarl. I don't really see too much of a downside here. Even if they switch in Farigiraf, as long as I connect the Snarls, I should get some pretty good damage off into my opponent regardless. So I think that's definitely the case. I think the worst would probably be our Chaladon switch out to Farigiraf and they go for a Will-O-Wisp into my Kangaskhan. That could be a little bit annoying, but overall, don't think it's too bad. And they don't even switch, so I do get a Fake Out off in a Dragapult, which is really nice damage. And we are going to be able to get a Snarl off perfect onto the Archaladon as well as the Dragapult. So are you Clear Body Dragapult confirmed? You're not Clear Body, so it's probably Infiltrator, which we do give the Archaladon a stamina boost. Oh, Crisp Body, that's kind of annoying. Focus Energy, interesting, okay. I don't really mind it being Focus Energy. It's also not Leftovers, so I'm kind of curious on how bulky this Archaladon is. I kind of like just going for a Draco Meteor into the Archaladon and going for maybe a Sucker Punch. I don't think I actually really like Sucker Punch, actually. I think I'd rather just Double Edge KO the Dragapult because they could have like a status move. Thunder Wave would be the worst case, but I think this is overall okay. They protect our Chaladon, which is actually perfect because I do get a free Double Edge off into the Dragapult. Maybe they went for a Screen. Okay, nice. So this is actually not too bad for me. As we do drop a Draco into our Chaladon, you want to assume since it's not Leftovers, it's probably Scope Lens at this point, and Double Edge will take the knockout into Dragapult. So I'm very glad I didn't go for a Sucker Punch there, because if I did get a Sucker Punch off, it might have been both screens up, which would have been pretty bad for me. But I don't think this is too bad. Again, I do have ways to beat the Archaladon. As I said before, I brought the final Gambit Lucario, specifically so I can handle the Archaladon in case I needed it. Sinistra going to come in and get some recovery onto the Archaladon, alright. Unfortunately, I do need to find a way to chip the Archaladon a little bit across the board, and the disable is kind of annoying. They're probably going to start going for crit Draco Meteors. I don't really have a great punish here. I don't know if it's for Farigiraf back. I think my play, though, is just to go for a Dark Pulse plus a Double Edge. I do think they probably just Rage Powder here with the light screen up. I don't think they protect, but we'll see. Yeah, they just Rage Powder, which is perfect. So Scrappy Double Edge will hurt it, as well as Dark Pulse. Maybe it can take the knockout, depending on the Sinistra spread. But here comes a Dark Pulse. Good damage. We put it out of Citrus Berry range. I think Double Edge should take the knockout here. Yeah, so we get rid of Sinistcha, which is really nice. Okay, we get a crit. I don't know how much it mattered, but we do take the knockout in the Sinistcha, which is huge. And let's see the Draco come out. Yep, Draco into the Habanberry. I don't think we live this, but we'll see. Yeah, we don't take it, but that's fine. Okay. So, crit knocks out. Endgame is very scary because I think it could be a call. So I could go Lucario or I could go Ceruledge here. I don't know which one's better because I think if it's Farigiraf, I think I have to go out into my Ceruledge here. Ooh, what's going on with the game? Ooh boy, okay, because there's no... I hope this isn't my side, but overall, I should be in an okay spot. It's just like a call the next turn on what they bring out and what they do. Because if they protect this slot, it could be annoying. I think I have to go Ceruledge and I have to Double Edge Spitterblade if it's Farigiraf. If it's anything else, if it's Gengar, I have to read if it protects or not, which is a pretty big deal. Oh boy. One sec. Okay. Alright, cool. Alright. So don't know what's up with the game, but we will go Ceruledge here. I don't think I can afford to go out into Lucario because I need Lucario to get that final Gambit hit off in Archalon. I need like 20 HP of damage into Archalon to put in range of like a final Gambit. And if I do go Lucario, we already know the Archalon has Protect. So I can't go out into Lucario safely because then they could protect Archalon, go for an attack with the other Pokemon into the Lucario, and then I no longer have a final Gambit Mon. So what is going on here? What is going on? I wonder if my opponent's having communication problems because this isn't on my side, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I keep going back and forth. I've been told that this generally fixes like communication problems, but okay, Ceruledge in. Hatterene, okay. Does the Hatterene have Protect? Even if it doesn't have Protect, I think this could still be fine. So I think my best play is just to double up the Hatterene. We're gonna go for a Mega Evolution. We're gonna go for Double Edge plus Bitterblade. So the question is, does the Hatterene protect? If it protects, that's... If it protects, it might be cooked, depending on what the Arch does. Draco, I assume... Maybe Kangaskhan can live a crit Draco, depending on the Archaludon. That's really tough to say. If the Hatterene doesn't have Protect, the game is over. I Bitterblade Double Edge. I should KO Hatterene with the combo, and that should prevent Trick Room up. Then I can double into the Archaludon, and that should win the game. However, if Hatterene reveals Protect, could be a different story. So, if I brought in Lucario, it would have been a mind game. I think if I Meteor Mash Double Edge, or if I go for Final Gambit into Archaludon and doubled up with Drain Punch. Okay, let's see. Where is this coming from? I can't really protect because they would Trick Room with Hatterene. Oh, wait. Archaludon protects. Okay, that should be game, I think. Double Edge into Hatterene. That does way too much damage. Okay. Almost takes a knockout. I miss Old Kang. Bitterblade is going to take the knockout into Hatterene, though. And that will seal the game because I do have a Final Gambit Lucario on the back. So I can go for Final Gambit. I'm very shocked they didn't bring the Farigiraf, but maybe their thought process was like, okay, if you bring Farigiraf into... If I bring Sableye and I have Farigiraf, it's a very problemsome... Like, the Sableye's dead weight. So maybe they thought I wouldn't bring the Sableye, so they didn't need the Farigiraf. Okay, I don't know what's up with the communication problems. I mean, I do win this. I just need to get the attacks off. I've heard if you just go to the home menu and refresh like this, like it does help with the communication because it's kind of like a refresh. I do think it's probably from my opponent's side. But yeah, I just go for damage here. I go for Bitterblade plus Drain Punch. We know the Archaludon doesn't have leftovers because it's probably Scope Lens to get the guaranteed crit rate because Focus Energy +2, and then Scope Lens +1 equals a +3 crit ratio, and that means you're guaranteed to get a critical hit. So we will go for a Bitter Blade and a Drain Punch into our Chalon, and we should be good. And again, all we need to do is get that extra bit of HP into our Chalon for the final Gambit Lucario. And the reason that if they protected Hatterene and Draco, they could have been a problem, is because then I'd have to go Lucario. I'd have to get the final Gambit read right on a read potentially there. And I don't even have a good mid ground, I think. So I'd probably just like always lose. Unless our Chalon misses Draco Meteor. So I felt like I could either bank on Hatterene not protecting, or I could bank on a Draco miss, which gave me the highest odds of winning this game. So I do think that this was probably the safer line. I didn't expect him to protect our Chalon because I'm very shocked because I don't think our Chalon was heavily threatened. It was stamina, right? So I'm pretty sure that it was taking the physical attacks really well. But yeah. Okay, yeah, it's definitely my opponent's side. So yeah. But the game was over. I did have Lucario on the back, and they just couldn't beat the Lucario at that point. All right, we have Charizard, Venusaur, Garchomp, Rotom-Wash, Sneasler, and Incineroar. Okay, Sun is not super fun to play against. However, we do have tools. We have like our Hydreigon, which is pretty nice. Starmie could be great for the Ice Beam into the Garchomp, and Psychic could be solid. I think Lucario is probably the weakest member here because Sleep Powder, Venusaur could be Scarf Chomp. I don't think it's really worth it. I think lead-wise is probably just Sableye plus the Ceruledge. I think the Fake Out plus the Bulk Up seems really good here. And then I think in the back, is it Kangaskhan Hydreigon or is it Kangaskhan Starmie? I could see a justification for Starmie here. Although Snarl and a Rotom Wash and a ground immunity would be nice to have. I think it's probably Kangaskhan and Hydreigon. Yeah, I think this is okay. I want the most damage output into the Rotom, because I think Rotom is the most annoying Pokemon for the Ceruledge, unironically. Although, and I guess Hydreigon can still be a Garchomp answer. Let's see what they decide to go with here. Sneeze or Rotom? Okay, this is perfect lead for me. I get to fake out the Rotom and I can go for Bulk Up with Ceruledge. So this is perfect. Then I could go for Sunny Day or I could go for Disable on the Rotom. Yeah, this is a really good lead. So I can fake out the Rotom and I can go for a Bulk Up here with my Ceruledge immediately. Get the defense boost. Incineroar could come in, which could be the annoying part. I think Sneasler for Incineroar, but if they brought Incineroar, that means they either didn't bring their Mega, which is Charizard, or they didn't bring like the combination of Charizard Venu, which I wouldn't have to worry about. We're gonna see the Sneasler retreat, and this is gonna be Garchomp coming out. Okay, so that's fine by me, as I will get a fake out off into the Rotom, and we will go for a Bulk Up with the Ceruledge here. So we do get a +1 defense boost, which is solid, and I think we'll set up the Sun as Leftovers Rotom gets to confirm the item. All right, so now I can go for Sunny Day. And I can go for, I could also go out in the Hydreigon too, but I think I'd rather protect the Ceruledge first and get the Sunny Day up, because Hydro Pump Earthquake still threatening a lot of damage. So we will get a Sunny Day up with our Sableye. This will prevent the Rotom Hydro Pump from doing as much damage. They're going to go for Earthquake. I bet this is Earthquake Hydro Pump here. And then the question is, do I want to disable the Rotom or do I want to disable the Garchomp the next turn? So we will see the Earthquake does do a good amount to disable. I think I'd probably prefer disabling the Garchomp as Hydro Pump comes out. Yep, that's fine, because I can disable the Rotom the next turn. Because I think I still take more damage from Earthquake than I do Hydro Pump and Sun. So we're going to go for, even with the +1 bulk. So we're going to go for Disable and the Garchomp, and they could go for Rock Slide though, which would be a little bit annoying. But Earthquake is doing too much damage. I think we go for, I think we still bulk up it, or not bulk up. We go for a Bitter Blade and Disable here. Let's see. Okay, Garchomp's Earthquake's disabled. Nice. I also get to see if it's Scarf. Oh, they thought I was going to disable the Rotom, so that's really good for me. Okay, I got the call right then. Because if they did get an Earthquake Thunderbolt, that would have been pretty rough. Bitter Blade does so much damage to the Rotom, actually. Wow, okay. Beautiful damage. Nice. Don't know if the Rotom protects the next turn, but I think that's pretty good. So now I'm going to go for an Encore into the Garchomp. That's locked into... That can't go for the Earthquake. So I'm going to Encore the Garchomp, and I'm actually going to go for Bitter Blade into the Garchomp as well. This covers if they decide, hey, I'm going to go for a Rock Slide Thunderbolt, which would be a bit annoying. I just want to prevent Rock Slide from coming out as much as possible. Also, there's a chance that Rotom could theoretically protect, and if the Garchomp switches out, I get Bitter Blade into that slot. So if it's Charizard, that's a lot of damage to the Charizard I'm getting off. So, and if they protect the Rotom, I can Encore the Rotom into the Protect the following turn. So this is the best case scenario here for me. As I do go for the Encore, it will fail, but that's completely fine, as we do get the Bitter Blade off into the Charizard, and it puts in Shadow Sneak range. Excellent. Excellent. All right, best I could have asked. It's Solar Power Zard? Oh, this is why you don't run Solar Power Zard. Maybe it has Ancient Power for opposing Charizards, but yeah, this is why you don't run Solar Power Zard. Now we go for an Encore into the Rotom, and we just go for a Shadow Sneak into the Charizard. Even if they protect Charizard, it goes down here. They probably have to double out into Garchomp Sneasler, but even then, that's not a super ideal position for my opponent, but it's like the only play that they could make to have like 2 usable Pokemon in the field, because if they just attack here, yeah, unless it's maybe Ally Switch Rotom, they get locked into the Encore with the Rotom, and I get a Shadow Sneak off into Charizard. So this is looking really solid for me, as we do get the Shadow Sneak KO into the Charizard, and now the Rotom is locked into the Protect with the Encore. So this is the disruption of powerful Sableye, and Ceruledge is putting in work. Only needs 1 bulk up and is doing so much damage under the sun. Alright, leftovers heals it. I failed to protect, so it can guarantee a protect this upcoming turn, which is fine. I guess I could go out in a... I have a few plays I could go out into. I could go out into my Kangaskhan. I could, for Sableye, if I don't want to risk like Earthquake crit, I could go into Hydreigon, which is also pretty reasonable play here. Sneasler coming in. Wait, why ever go Sneasler in this position? You shouldn't have... I guess you're going to go for Dire Claw. Yeah, you're probably going for Dire Claw, which is fine. I'm going to go into Kangaskhan. So I have Fake Out Pressure, and then I'm going to bulk up with my Ceruledge. Once I get rid of Sneasler, I should have a pretty sealed endgame with Hydreigon. But we'll see. I'll save Sableye because the support's still very valuable. I think getting in access to Fake Out now is pretty good. Oh, Rock Tomb. Okay. So they have Rock Tomb. I wonder if they drop Protect or they dropped Fake Out. I do get the bulk up off with the Ceruledge here. So now I'm +2 defense. So I'm definitely not taking any damage now as Sun fades, which is fine. I'm just going to go for a Fake Out into the Garchomp, and I'm just going to go for... Actually, should I Fake Out the Garchomp? I could Fake Out the Sneasler. The reason I would want not to Fake Out the Garchomp is because they could have access to Stomping Tantrum. I think I just Fake Out the Sneasler because it would break Sash and I could potentially put in Shadow Sneak range. And I think I Bitter Blade the Garchomp for damage. They retreat to Sneasler, so this is Rotom, which is fine. So I get a Fake Out off into the Rotom. Is this Rock Slide? Earthquake, that's okay. Ooh, that did a bit more damage to Ceruledge than I thought, and it crit the Kangaskhan, but I mean, I should be okay here with the healing with Bitter Blade. Yeah, good damage to the Garchomp, and I'll heal a decent amount. Okay, still could be a bit spooky, but overall, I think this is pretty reasonable here. I think my best play... The crit's a little bit annoying, but granted, still fine. We're going to go for Sucker Punch into the Garchomp, so we can put in Shadow Sneak range and protect our Ceruledge. Ideally, Kangaskhan goes down here. I get a free switch to Sableye the next turn, and I don't think they'd be able to stop me from faking out the Rotom. So let's see what comes out here. I just want to put the Garchomp in Shadow Sneak range at +2. It could be Citrus Berry on the Garchomp. It did seem somewhat bulky, but we'll see. It could be Scarf though. Like, I do think it might be Scarf if it wanted to hard switch out immediately. Sucker Punch coming out. Rough Skin. Unfortunately, the crit means I don't get the second hit off, but if it's not Citrus, the Shadow Sneak will definitely KO it. Yeah, it's not Citrus, okay. So they go for Earthquake, and they go for a Hydro Pump. Thunderbolt, okay. So I can fake out the Rotom and Shadow Sneak, which is pretty solid for me. Yeah. There's not much they can do to stop the Shadow Sneak coming out. So we fake out the Rotom, and we go for Shadow Sneak into the Garchomp. This prevents any crit scenarios. Then I guess against the Sneasler, I'm not really that worried, even if it's Rock Tomb. But I think Sunny Day should be good. I wonder if Rock Tomb Thunderbolt can knock out Sableye. I kind of doubt it. They actually switch out the Garchomp, which is fine, because that means Sneaser's going to be put in range of 2 Shadow Sneak knockouts, which is good for me. So I will fake out the Rotom, and we will go for a Shadow Sneak into the Sneasler. Okay. And now, basically, my opponent has 2 Pokemon in range of Shadow Sneak. So that is pretty solid for me. We will get more Leftovers Recovery, so we're out of like Thunderbolt crit range. And we're gonna go for Sunny Day plus a Protect. And if they decide to switch out Rotom into Garchomp, I can Shadow Sneak the Rotom. If they decide, hey, I'm gonna go for like Thunderbolt plus, I don't know, Rock Tomb into Sableye, I should be good here. Because even if they, let's say, crit or Thunderbolt, Para, or Dire Claw Sleep, I should be okay with the Sunny Day up to live a Hydro Pump from Rotom. Then I could focus on Shadow Sneaking the right slot while getting my Hydreigon afterward. Ideally, that doesn't happen, though. Ideally, like, Sableye lives a turn, it's still, like, able to move. But, okay, we see Sneasler retreating to Garchomp, which is fine. They probably want the Rough Skin damage, which is acceptable. But we will go for a Protect with our Ceruledge. And we are going to get the Sunny Day up once again. And here we're just trying to set up this end game super safely to make sure that we just don't lose. They are going to go for a Thunderbolt into the Ceruledge, which is fine. And I am going to Encore the Rotom into Thunderbolt first. And then I'm going to go for Disable. So yeah. Even with Rough Skin in the T-Bolt won't KO. And hopefully with no crit, it won't knock out either. So we Encore the Rotom. We go for Shadow Sneak. And yeah, we could do this dance, but the thing is, all their Pokemon aren't range of Shadow Sneak, other than Rotom, but Rotom's going to get bullied by the Sableye here, so I don't think it's too much of a concern at the moment. Shadow Sneak going to come out on the Garchomp, so I will get the knock on the Garchomp. Beautiful. That crit doesn't matter there. As Ceruledge does take a bit of chip, we Encore this Rotom into Thunderbolt so we can disable it the next turn, and since they can't switch, they are going to be locked into Struggle. As long as Thunderbolt doesn't do... Yeah, crit one and knockout. No Para, beautiful. That was the only thing I was really worried about. Para was the only thing that could lose me the game, realistically. Because if they did, it could be annoying. But yeah, as about it's going to be forfeit. I guess like it could have been fine against the Hydreigon though. Since I have Sableye, I could protect on the Sneasler attack. And if they lock into close combat, I can disable. And if they lock into anything else, I could Encore. So I guess it's not too bad either way. Alright, we have Charizard, Incineroar, Aerodactyl, Kingambit, Garchomp, and Sylveon. Alright, this can be pretty spooky of a matchup here. Okay, what do I want to go against this? Do I think this will be... Usually it's Dual Mega, I think, with Aerodactyl and Charizard, so it's not an easy one per se. I don't mind leading either Ceruledge plus Sableye or Ceruledge plus Kangaskhan. I'm okay with leading, I think, Ceruledge plus the Kangaskhan immediately. Or do I want to go with something else? I want to lead Kangaskhan because I have access to Drain Punch if they lead Gambit. If they want to lead like Gambit plus like Aerodactyl or something. Sableye is better as a lead into like other stuff though. I kind of like Lucario just so I can close combat threats in the Gambit, but I guess it's not needed. Maybe it's a Starmie angle because the Garchomp's pretty annoying to deal with, but I don't know if it's Scarf Garchomp on this team. It definitely could be. There's not really an easy per se option. I think I definitely bring Sableye in the back. The question is, am I bringing Lucario? I think I go with Lucario. Yeah, I don't want to lead Lucario immediately because if they lead Scarf Garchomp, it's really bad if I lead like Ceruledge plus the Lucario and they lead Scarf Garchomp. It could be Scarf Garchomp because they do have 2 flying immunities on the team, so it would make a lot of sense here, but we'll find out. Also, something I found out about the team. It does not beat Mega Gyarados Rain. So if you ever played a Mega Gyarados Rain matchup, you will not win. This team literally cannot touch Mega Gyarados under Rain. All right, so we see Incineroar plus the Garchomp, which isn't a great lead here for me, but I guess this is okay. I'm gonna go out. Oh, I didn't bring Starmie. Yeah, this is not good. This is not good at all. Alright. I gotta figure out what move the Incineroar is, whether it's Drill Shot or Darkest Lariat. If it's Darkest Lariat, that is something that will screw over my Ceruledge. So let's see what will happen here. I think these teams usually run Drill Chop, but if they have Darkest Lariat, it ignores the bulk up defense boost, which is bad. Bring out the Sableye. The thing is, they can't Earthquake here if they have Incin. They fake out my Kangaskhan and Rock Slide. Okay. I really regret not bringing like Hydreigon or the Starmie now, because Garchomp's going to be really tough. Although I'm kind of curious if they go for Earthquake, switch into one of the flying types, or if they go for something else. I think now it's probably the best time is to set up a bulk up with Ceruledge and probably go for Disable. But we'll see. They could definitely Earthquake. I guess I could fake out the Garchomp, but again, I don't want to risk Stomping Tantrum. Although Stomping Tantrum's usually not on Rock Slide Garchomp. Usually if it's Rock Slide, they usually have Dragon Claw, Earthquake, and then either Protect or Stomping, but only Stomping usually on the Scarf variant. So maybe I could have just faked out the Garchomp. I want to disable immediately just because... Okay, they retreat the Garchomp, which is fine. Sylveon, that's okay. So we failed to disable. I could have faked out the Incineroar, but that's alright. We do get a bulk up off. Problem is, it's really annoying to set up a position. Okay, they parting shot to Ceruledge, so I'm back to -1. Yeah, this is a problem. Dealing with Incineroar with this team after you Mega Evolve King is also kind of tough. Alright, let's see. What are they going out into? Garchomp again. At least I have the bulk up off, so I don't have to worry as much about taking too much Charizard. What? Okay, I don't know why they go Charizard, because they don't pressure the Ceruledge. I guess they could maybe hard swap to Instant, but I don't get why you wouldn't go Garchomp first. You could Beta Wisp too. I feel Lucario's the least useful Mon that I don't need, so I think I'm willing to throw away the Lucario. And I also don't know if they're clicking Heat Wave here. I think they hard swap back to Incineroar and click Hyper Voice, but they stay in. So what are they clicking? Don't tell me you have Ancient Power on the Charizard. Maybe it's Ancient Power Charizard. And if it's Ancient Power Charizard, well, what could I do? So we will see the Mega Evolution on the Charizard. A very surprising Mega Evolution here. Heat Wave. Yeah, I don't get why you giving me the Flash Fire boost. I don't mind this, because even if I let Lucario go down, like I even understand Weather Balling the Sableye, but I also, okay. Hyper Voice. Sure. As we get a bulk up off with Ceruledge, and now we have a boosted Ceruledge. My only problem is... Oh boy. Does Sableye take a Heat Wave? I think I have to gamble on it anyway. I'm going to need another bulk up so I negate the Incineroar and Intimidate coming in. I think we fake out the Sylveon and bulk up, hopefully. I don't know. The thing is, I'm trying to figure out, okay, can I rely on just winning with my Ceruledge? Potentially, but we'll see. Incineroar comes in, so this is the best case scenario for me. Okay. As I do get a fake out off into the Sylveon, and now a bulk up means that I'm actually in an okay spot to do some damage with Ceruledge. So we'll see. It's a bit tough. Sorry, my arm got injured on the way back from my LA trip. Let me just say, LA, not exactly my favorite city. Feel like every time I go to LA, something bad happens. But yeah. Okay, what do I do here? I'm at neutral attack. I would ideally like to get another bulk up off. Bitter Blade might KO to Sylveon in Sun. I think I would probably want to just go Kangaskhan and Bitter Blade to Sylveon because I want to have multiple fake outs because I'm going to need like several turns for the Ceruledge to actually do damage. Granted, like the thing is, I need a way to actually figure out how to do damage into the Incineroar because my damage output into Incineroar right now is only Kangaskhan at the moment, unless I'm boosted up with Ceruledge. But the thing is, that's why I want to Bitter Blade to Sylveon early because I kind of need to get rid of Mons so the Incineroar can't cycle infinitely onto with Intimidate and stuff. So we bring out the Kangaskhan. Oh, that's bad. Okay, no, that's good. Because I should recover back the HP with Bitter Blade. But that Sylveon's really fast if it outspeds Ceruledge. Bitter Blade. KO Sylveon, alright. So it would have been... I think that's still better than if I bulked up, but let's see if this is parting shot or not. Okay, they parting shot the Ceruledge again. So we're back to like -1. We're going to be -2 after Intimidate. Yeah, this team doesn't like the Intimidate rotation, but granted, this is actually pretty reasonable for me, I think. And luckily, they can't Intimidate a Kangaskhan right now because I haven't Mega Evolved yet. So I do have access to fake out with the Scrappy still. And the question is, am I Mega Evolving the Kang or not in the upcoming turns? Is going to be a big one. So this should be... I think Garchomp Incineroar makes the most sense here. But we'll see. I can't fake out the Garchomp because Stomping Tantrum is going to do way too much of my Ceruledge. I should be taking the Earthquakes okay. Also, how fast was that Sylveon? I need to double check my Ceruledge speed because I'm a bit surprised that outsped my Ceruledge. It needs a lot of investment. Leftovers, heal. If they go Incineroar, I think I just click fake out into bulk up. Because the Bitter Blade damage is not doing anything. If they go Charizard, I get some decent damage off into Charizard. Yeah, Incineroar comes back in. Are we shocked by this? Not really. Let me just double check. What is my... Yeah, wait, that's like Timid Sylveon. That's Timid Sylveon or I guess it could be Modest Max Speed as well. But you don't really see those in this format. Okay. We're going to bulk up. We're going to go for the Mega Evolution. We're going to fake out the Incineroar. I get the extra bulk with the Mega Evolution. The extra damage on Incineroar is actually kind of important for the cycles. So let's see what the Garchomp does. And the question is, do I want to save the Kang and switch out the next turn, or do I just want to go for Drain Punch afterwards? So we get some decent damage off an instant with the fake out. As I go for Rock Slide, yeah. As you can see, Ceruledge absolutely is eating. We do flinch, which is kind of annoying. But I mean, it should be alright. The problem is, it's still not doing that hot here. I think I'm just gonna double up the Incineroar with damage with Drain Punch, Bitter Blade. I've gotten the defense boost I need, and I kind of want a bit of recovery. Any bit of recovery is just kind of nice. Okay, Rock Slide again. No flinch on the King, which is really good because the Drain Punch damage is really crucial into the Incineroar. Citrus Berry, yeah. So it's like the Incineroar won't be able to heal after that Citrus Berry, so that's nice. Another Bitter Blade should put in range of another Drain Punch from Kang, so that's always really good here. Well, it's Darkest Lariat. Can I win now? Maybe. It's looking pretty tough. Sunlight fades. Yeah, I don't know if I can win now. Sableye in. I don't know. I mean, I can disable the Garchomp and hope that they just never Rock Slide flinch me again, but they could Earthquake here. I think I Encore the Garchomp and a Rock Slide first, and I go for Double Edge into the Incineroar. I think I just lose to the Charizard realistically, but yeah. I'm debating about. I did debate about going for a Double Edge into the Incineroar, but they do say in, which is probably best case scenario. Because if they hard switch Charizard on a Double Edge, it would have been nice. I really wish I got the Bitter Blade damage off though. Rock Slide we avoid, which is nice. The problem is I don't think we're going to be able to live the Heat Wave. Let's see if this KOs. I don't think so. Probably barely surviving. Yeah, I needed that Bitter Blade damage. I'm pretty sure Bitter Blade would have easily done 8% and even -2 because of the Flash Fire boost. Parting Shot comes out. I do think Incineroar was just a bit too rough here. Maybe it's my fault for not bringing a Starmie or Hydreigon though, so I could get a big Draco Meteor and Ice Beam. I really want Lucario because I thought I could Coaching Stack and negate the boost and have the close combat threatening, but the Garchomp was always just too annoying. We do have outs, but it's not like it's super likely to happen. We gotta get a Double Edge KO into Charizard. There could be a Heat Wave miss. It's not looking too hot though. Like realistically, they should just swap out the Garchomp into Incineroar and click Heat Wave or Weather Ball. I'd Weather Ball to Sableye first. But I don't have a counterplay. There's like not any counterplay I can do. Yeah, because if I KO the Incin, at least like there's a shot, right? My Kangaskhan isn't -1 and then -2 when the Incineroar comes in, but that's super unfortunate. Yeah, they make the play. Switching Incin. Going for the Double Edge. Heat Wave, they're faster. They crit my King as well. Yep. I was about to say that did way too much for even for like a very invested Zard. I think it's probably timid. Yeah, it's just over. Okay. Unfortunate. I think this was winnable, even with like the poor brings and Incineroar, but I couldn't afford to get double flinched. I needed that damage at least once. And Darkest Lariat Incin's also a bit rough for this team, I think. Alright, we have Gardevoir, Maushold, King Gambit, Aerodactyl, Garchomp, and the Sneasler. Okay. I kind of like Ceruledge plus Lucario here because I actually do like the coaching setup. The question is, do I want Starmie in this game? We saw how problematic Garchomp was for the last match, but the thing is, I don't think it's nearly as bad when Ceruledge gets to keep its attack boost without having to deal with Intimidate. I really like Kangaskhan. The question is, am I bringing Sableye or am I bringing Starmie? I think it's Starmie. I don't think the Sableye is that bad either. Encore and Disable would be really nice. It's just I don't think I can get rid of the Gardevoir quickly enough. And then I just always am risking a Hyper Voice threatening a lot of damage. So I don't think it's ever worth it. Maushold Gardevoir, okay. Versus Lucario Ceruledge. I don't mind this lead. Because I think I could go for Coaching Bulk Up. Also, thank goodness they don't have Trace. It's probably Telepathy, which is fine. I'm going to go for Bulk Up. Or I should probably just go for Bitter Blade. I want a Bitter Blade coaching. Because I don't want to get encored by the Maushold. So I think I go for coaching. They probably go for Follow Me, which is fine. And then I probably live one Hyper Voice with Lucario, and then I get 2 coachings off. So basically I get the bulk ups without having to waste turns with Ceruledge, and I can immediately go for damage, which is nice. So we will go for coaching. And now the Ceruledge is boosted. Good. Bitter Blade. Also, it's not Mega Aerodactyl, so it's something we don't have to worry about. Does a lot of damage to the Mousehold. Maybe I could have protected. Oh, they Trick Room instead. Okay. Interesting. What are they trying to go with Trick Room for? Okay. Probably the King Gambit then. Which is fine. I think I should KO the Mousehold with Bitter Blade. The question is, should I go for coaching again? I guess so, yeah. I should Bitter Blade and go for coaching again. And then sack the Lucario the following turn. Alright, Mousehold follows me. We go for the Bitter Blade into the Mousehold. Mousehold goes down. Excellent. And yeah, you can't redirect coaching. It's like one of the few moves you can't go for redirection with. Hyper Voice. Lucario takes it really well. Curious, depending on the King Gambit item, I always live Sucker Punch. The question is, do I live Kowtow? I think it depends on if it's Black Glasses or not. Also, we saw an interesting speed order. My Ceruledge is faster than the Gardevoir, so that's actually really good for me. King Gambit comes out, not surprised. That's why they set the Trick Room. We're just going to go for Protect and Coaching angle. If they're worried about Shadow Sneak from the Ceruledge into the Gardevoir, they have to protect Gardevoir, which means I probably get a coaching opportunity. And if they KO Lucario, I get a free switch to Kangaskhan and go for Fake Out. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that +2 Bitter Blade should knock out this Gardevoir. I could also go for Shadow Sneak if I really, really want to. Which is not a bad play. But yeah, we will go out into our Kangaskhan. But I don't see a reason not to click Bitter Blade into the Gardevoir. And just Fake Out the Gambit. The only reason I'm not clicking Mega Ball Fake Out is because I don't think the bulk should be coming into play most likely here. And if they don't protect, this is fine too. Because I should KO Guard with Bitter Blade. I didn't read the speed tiers wrong, right? Yeah, I didn't. Bitter Blade should KO? Yeah. I get all that recovery. Now I'm out of Kowtow range from the Gambit because I'm +2 Ceruledge. And yeah, in case they switch in Garchomp for the Rough Skin, I didn't want that. And I didn't think the extra bulk or attack was going to matter in this turn. Garchomp coming in, which is not surprising. I just got to get rid of the Gambit here. So my best play is to go for... Is it just Protect? I think it's just Protect and go for a Drain Punch. Low Kick Crit probably doesn't knock out Kangaskhan. I get the recovery back with Drain Punch anyway. Yeah. The reason I think I Protect here is because if they Kowtow crit... I think it could be annoying if it's Scarf Chomp. I don't think it's likely Scarf Chomp. But then they are Sucker Punch in Rock Slide if they lock in Rock Slide, and I think that's kind of annoying. Swords Dance. Are you Choppleberry? Swords Dance doesn't run Chopple usually. So I should KO with Drain Punch, yeah. Okay. It was Black Glasses Gambit. I do get the KO on Gambit with the Drain Punch, and now Starmie just should win the game locked up unless this... Even if this is Choice Scarf Garchomp with Rock Slide, I have Shadow Sneak plus Sucker Punch that could play around it, so I'm not really too concerned about it. I think I just go for Shadow Sneak and I swap out the Kangaskhan so I have access to Fake Out. Trick Room's going to return to normal, but yeah, they do realize that and forfeit. So, nice. Ceruledge really just able to clean up in the Trick Room mode. Unironically, Coaching Lucario was just able to set up against their passive lead. Alright, we see Gardevoir, Gallade, Runerigus with... Tinkaton, Milotic, and King Gambit. Okay. Very unique team here. Ceruledge is really good. It's just a Milotic is a bit annoying. I don't really need Starmie in this game because Starmie doesn't really accomplish anything. And Hydreigon is looking pretty poor as well. So I'd probably say those two are generally out. It's probably a combination of Ceruledge, Lucario, Kangaskhan, and Sableye. What order do I want to go with? I think I want to lead Lucario because I have access to Final Gambit Pressure, but also the coaching, which is pretty good, I think. And I want to save Sableye and back because I don't want to lead Sableye against the Gardevoir, and I can also scare away King Gambit because of the close combat plus Bitter Blade threat combos. So let's see what they decide to go for lead-wise. All right, what are you leading here? Gardevoir Runerigus. Okay, that's fine. Very interesting lead. They trace Inner Focus, which is fine. So that's better than Flash Fire. But I would be able to threaten Shadow Sneak anyway. I'm going to go for Bulk Up and I'm going to go for Coaching. So Runerigus is an interesting ground ghost type, which its only good ground move is Earthquake. Its only good ground move is Earthquake. Otherwise, it has to run special ground coverage. It doesn't get high horsepower, it doesn't get Stomping Tantrum, it doesn't get any of those. Gardevoir Mega Evolves, that's fine. I guess I should probably worry about how much the ghost moves do. Okay, they protect Gardevoir, so this is actually best case scenario, so that's nice. And unless they're really slow Gardevoir, like min-speed Gardevoir, my Ceruledge should outspeed the Gardevoir if they set up Trick Room this turn. So I get +2 on my Ceruledge. As I do go for Trick Room, which is fine. Because right now, I'm just threatening a Bulk Up again, and I can go for a Bitter Blade. I could also Bitter Blade swap if I want to, which ain't bad because I only really need +2 on this Mon. So I think it's probably better to Bitter Blade to Gardevoir and go out into Sableye. I like that a lot because I can threaten whatever Runerigus wants to do the next turn. I also get all the recovery if they decide to get an attack off into my Ceruledge. So I'm going to bring out the Sableye. Oh, they do have Earthquake and they go for it. Okay. They crit the Gardevoir, which is actually bad for me because that's less recovery I'm getting. Oh, wait, what? Oh, I didn't think the Gardevoir was going to be fat. I guess this is like full committal Trick Room then. Okay. Not great, but acceptable. I do get the Bitter Blade off into the Gardevoir, so Gardevoir goes down. Okay. Eh, this is fine. It could have been better, but I think this is still pretty decent. I also got back to full HP, so luckily the crit didn't really impact that, because it could affect some Kowtow calcs coming up. Milotic coming in. Okay. Interesting. I kind of like the idea of just going for Fake Out and... I don't think I need to bulk up. I kind of just need damage into the Milotic. Maybe I Sunny Day here. I don't know if it's Haze. Like, these Pokemon do get access to Haze, but I kind of doubt it's going to be Haze at this point. I could go for Sunny Day immediately, or I could Fake Out. What are the downsides to Fake Out? There isn't really too much here. I do kind of like Sunny Day and potentially swap though, because like Milotic could protect this turn. Yeah, so they could Earthquake, which is fine. I can also threaten Encore into Milotic or disable into Runerigus the next turn. Like, both are pretty solid options. But this just means my Ceruledge just pretty much always hangs around, which is the ideal spot I want it to be. So they do go for Earthquake. As you can see, it doesn't really do too much damage. And then next turn, I can just Bitter Blade the Milotic safely and disable the Runerigus from going for Earthquakes. Yeah, Runerigus would actually be a pretty decent Mon, I think, if it got any other good physical ground coverage, because I did look into team building with it before. But yeah, we disable the Runerigus, and Milotic might switch out because of the Encore threat, but they stay in, which is fine too. So I disable the Runerigus, and it's not able to go for Earthquake anymore. Yep. And we will go for a Bitter Blade as they go for Scald. This is in Sun. As you can see, it's not really doing too much, and I'm just going to be able to heal back all that HP with this Bitter Blade. +2 in Sun. That's a solid amount of damage to Milotic. So Milotic takes so much damage. Now I can Encore again. Citrus Berry. I wonder if that means it has no Recover. But yeah, I'm just going to go for Bitter Blade into the Milotic, and I'm going to go for an Encore into the Runerigus. If they swap out Runerigus, that's fine. If they protect Milo, they get threatened by Encore the following turn. So I don't really see a problem here. Scald Burn doesn't affect Ceruledge, and Crit won't knock me out at this range. So yeah, there's not really too much to say. Yeah, if they protect, I just Encore you the next turn, so it's fine. And yeah, we Encore the Runerigus into what it used previously, which was the Earthquake, and since it's disabled, it can't go for it anymore, so it's going to be forced to struggle. Now I could Bitter Blade the Runerigus, and I can Encore the Milo. They kind of have to get a slot target right of which one I go for. But yeah, they are kind of in a really rough spot. So I'm going to go for a Bitter Blade, and I'm going to go for Encore into the Milo. If they switch out Milo, that's fine, but Runerigus also is kind of in a bad position. And yeah, there really isn't much that it could do. They're actually staying with both, so yeah, they're guaranteed screwed here. As I do get the Encore off into Milo, locked into Protect, and it can protect the next turn, so I can easily just target the rest. Bitter Blade will KO the Runerigus. Oh wow, +2 in Sun. I mean, it does have really good defense, but it's gonna go down to the struggle. As Wandering Spirit, which is basically like skill swap for an ability. It's kind of different from Mummy from Configurius, but yeah, it would be such a cool ability. It's actually funny because one of the first things in Champions was looking for if Runerigus got access to Fissure, you could hit like your own Runerigus with like a U-turn from the Mega Hawlucha to get entrainment Fissure, but they don't give it Fissure, thankfully. All right, we have Chimecho, Sylveon, the Sinistra. That's an Emolga for some reason. Okay, Cleaver and Hippowdon. Definitely a really interesting team. It's really weak to Ceruledge, it looks like, but I gotta be a little bit cautious because Cleaver is a bit of a scary mon. That mon actually does some decent damage, so I think we could do Ceruledge plus the Sableye seems pretty solid to me. I don't really like leading into Sylveon, but I think it should be okay. Because only lead that would be bad would be really Sylveon Cleaver, because I'd have to worry about Stone Axe plus the Hyper Voice combination, but I think I could play around it. And then I think I bring Lucario and Kangaskhan back, because Starmie, it could help, I guess, to help break through the Hippowdon, because Hippowdon with Yawn actually could be a little bit annoying, but otherwise I don't think it's really too helpful. Hydreigon, it's decent, but into Sylveon, which is definitely coming, I don't think it's worth, but we'll see. Cleaver plus Hippowdon, interesting lead. Versus Ceruledge and Sableye. Okay, this could be Yawn on the Hippowdon. So I think my best play is probably just to set up a bulk up and go for a fake out into the Cleaver. Yeah. If this is Yawn, we'll have to figure it out as we go along, but it should be acceptable, I suppose. If I can stall out the turns of sleep. So we get a bulk up off with Ceruledge. +1 attack and defense. Curse. Okay, that Hippowdon's actually kind of annoying. Alright. So now we go for an Encore into the Hippowdon. So it's locked in the Curse. I don't know if I really... Okay. I still think it's probably best to go for an Encore in Hippowdon, but this Hippowdon is looking really annoying. I guess I have Final Game with Lucario to speed up the process afterward. I think this is probably just Stone Axe into Ceruledge and they go for a Curse again because I Encore it. Then next turn I can disable the Cleaver and prevent Stone Axe and then get another bulk above. That's kind of my idea here. They thief. What? Okay. I'm okay with that. Although stealing leftovers isn't great, I don't need leftovers too much in this matchup. I definitely prefer it over Stone Axe. Because Stealth Rock's damage does actually impact Final Gambit numbers here. So I'm kind of curious if Hippowdon's just going to keep cursing at us, but we will just deal with it. We're going to go for a bulk up and we're going to go for an Encore. And then next turn we can disable the Cleaver. So I don't think it's too bad. I don't really care. Like, here's the thing. Thief only works if the... Well, you can only steal the item if you don't have an item. So is this itemless Cleaver? We'll find out. I do get an Encore off into Cleaver. Goes for the Thief. Boosted by Technician. Okay, it was itemless Cleaver. Okay. But that's fine. As we get a bulk up off. And then we disable the Cleaver and go for another bulk up. Yeah. Like, as long as we prevent my... Because I want to make sure I KO the Sylveon, so I'm going to go for +3. But yeah, this is interesting to say the least. So we bulk up here. This is the final turn of Encore for the Hippowdon, so we'll go for it the next turn. But yeah, we're going to go for Disable into the Cleaver and then bulk up again with Ceruledge. Then we can go for a Bitter Blade into the Cleaver. So it should be a pretty good spot, I'd say. This is the Bullying of Sableye. So Cleaver's Thief is disabled. It can't go for the attack again. Bulk up will come out from the Ceruledge, and now +3 Ceruledge is looking pretty good here as they go for a curse again. I forgot if they changed curse power points because that could actually be a factor, but I imagine we'll have enough turns at the very least. If they go for Protect, that's fine. Hippowdon doesn't get any priority moves. So we go for Bitter Blade, we go for Encore into the Hippowdon. We don't want to disable the Hippowdon because we always want it to be guaranteed locked into the curse. So we will go for an Encore, and they're staying in, so they're going to get struggled, which is fine. Cleaver's no moves it can use, goes for struggle, and then we're going to get all the recovery back on the Cleaver. So Ceruledge healthy is good. I forgot what the other mons are. There's like a Moga, there's a Sinistra, there's a Chimecho, I suppose. They don't really seem too threatening. Like, the only thing that's threatening the Sableye right now is Sylveon. There's nothing that really threatens the Ceruledge, unless the Sinistra is like max speed shottable, which hopefully it's not. But if it is, we do have counterplay to it, I suppose. Well, we don't have the best counterplay to it, but we'll see. Chimecho. I'm pretty sure if I Sunny Day, the Chimecho goes down it, and if it Mega Evolves, yeah, like they're screwed anyway. So we're gonna go for Sunny Day and Bitter Blade. I gotta watch out for a Sinistra, because if they get Sinistra into Hippowdon, they can Rage Powder the Encore away, and then it's still +6 Hippowdon. Granted, like if I isolate the Hippowdon quickly enough, I should be able to win with my Lucario Kangaskhan combination. So we do get the Chimecho gone. They didn't Mega Evolve, but I mean, Chimecho doesn't have the best base stats in the world. So goodbye as they curse again. All right, is the last Mon Sinistra, because that's actually really important here. Are you Sinistra? Oh, it's Sylveon. Okay, yeah, they are pretty much unable to win the game, yeah. So I go for a Bitter Blade into the Sylveon, and we already faced a really weird situation earlier, so I'm just gonna go to Kangaskhan because double Fake Out should be good enough as well. All I need to do is put this Hippowdon into range of the attack, so it should be fine, but yeah. I wonder how much damage I'll actually do to the Hippowdon. Can I lose the Hippowdon? I know this thing has decent HP, but I feel like if I get enough damage, I should be okay. Okay, they protect Sylveon. Interesting. All right. I also get to see what item the Hippowdon is, because if it isn't leftovers, they do lose anyway. So we're gonna go for Bitter Blade into the Sylveon in case it was max speed for no reason. You never know with these teams, and we'll fake out the Hippowdon. I'm just covering like most of the options here. Because if it was fast Sylveon, it outspeeds my Ceruledge, which means it could Hyper Voice my Sableye, which means I'd be actually put in probably in a worse spot. So I think that going for this line is probably better, even though I do think my Ceruledge will probably outspeed the Sylveon. Yeah, I also never know with the items on this team. It could be like a random Sash or Bright Powder, and I could get screwed that way. They go for a Double Protect, they fail, which is fine, as we do go for Fake Out into the Hippowdon. That does 0 damage. And Bitter Blade. Okay. As they flinch, are you leftovers? Yep, it's leftovers, not too surprising. We're gonna go for Protect, and we're gonna go for a Double Edge. This is... We need Kangaskhan to go down to Earthquake. I assume... it could be high horsepower, which is fine. I get good damage with the double edge. The problem is the final gambit is actually kind of rough because Hippowdon has a pretty high base HP stat. What? What? Oh, that's actually kind of bad. Why is it Sandstorm and why did they go for Sandstorm? Wait, it's Sandstorm, y'all. Okay, Sandstorm Curse. Wait, you definitely have Earthquake. There's no way you don't have Earthquake. I was hoping to lose Kangaskhan there to Earthquake, and then I'd be able to disable it with Sableye. I have to go Sableye now. Okay, wait, this could actually get a little bit ugly. This could get a bit ugly. Bring out the Sableye. Bitter Blade. Should do some decent damage though, yeah. Oh, this is gonna be close at the final game of KOs. Oh, body prep. Okay. We're good. We're good. What is this set? Body press? Sandstorm Curse? Okay. And now I'm just gonna spam bulk up with Ceruledge, I suppose. And now Hippowdon's got a new move that it can lock into with Encore. Let me see another body press. Why is it body press Hippowdon? Or not, why is it body press Hippowdon? Body press Hippowdon makes sense. Why are you Sandstorm Curse body press Hippowdon is probably my bigger question. We're going for bulk up so we can get like Sunny Days for more powerful attacks. Unfortunately, I can't stall out with this, but this is fine. We go for... Yeah, they're going to forfeit. They kind of realize they can't win. But yeah. What the heck, man? Maybe I should have brought Starmie after all. Alright, we have Hisuian Arcanine, Altaria, Araquanid, Hatterene, Scizor, and Spiritomb. I don't know what the heck this team is about. It is very scary though. Unironically, this is super scary because dealing with Araquanid, that mon does a lot of damage to my team. So something I'm gonna have to keep in mind. I also, dealing with the Hisuian Arcanine is also not super easy. Okay, I'm gonna try, I think, Lucario plus Kangaskhan lead because I actually think it's pretty decent here. Because I can go for like coaching into my Kangaskhan and try to go for my damage output that way. And then in the back, Ceruledge plus Sableye seems pretty reasonable to be able to break to help me support like the setups. Starmie, it has some good coverage with Scald and Ice Beam, not really much otherwise. Hydreigon doesn't really do much here, I feel, but we'll see. Let's see what my opponent decides to go with. Araquanid Spiritomb, okay. Versus Lucario Kangaskhan. So this is probably the best case lead for me because I can go for coaching immediately with my Lucario into my Kangaskhan, and I can go for a scrappy fake out into the Spiritomb. Okay, let's see. I don't know if... Okay, Spiritomb protects. This is double protect? Or did Araquanid go on the offense? Good play on their part. That's fine. I do get a coaching up with Kangaskhan, so now I have +1 attack and defense Kangaskhan, which is pretty effective here. Liquidation, okay. The Kangaskhan ate that pretty well, I'd say. I guess I'm going to coaching again, and I'm just going to go for a Drain Punch into the Spiritomb. I don't know if Araquanid wants to risk going down to the Double Edge. Also, like, Spiritomb's a bit of a weird mon here, because it actually puts on pretty good offensive pressure if it's special into my Ceruledge. So I think it's probably worth getting rid of Spiritomb. Alright, let's see what they decide to go for next. I could have also swapped out Lucario to go for Encore, but I think the extra defense boost against Araquanid is always helpful. But let's see, we do get a coaching off again with Kangaskhan, and then Drain Punch because of Scrappy will be super effective because it can hit the Ghost type and it's a Dark type Spiritomb. Yep, still good damage. Double Edge would have been close. I think it would have barely missed a knockout on Spiritomb though. They go for a Liquidation. Bad defense drop. Very bad defense drop. Okay. They go Trick 'em up. Now we have to swap. I'm definitely switching out Lucario for Sableye. I just don't know what the Spiritom's clicking. If it has Dark Pulse or Snarl, I think it's worth going for the Sucker Punch in the Spiritomb. And if not, like, what are they going to do? Wisp? Which means that my Kangaskhan still survives the turn, which I think is acceptable. Okay. Okay, they did attack with Spiritomb. I do get rid of Spiritomb, so that means one huge strat to Ceruledge gone. I just got to get rid of this other. But with Disable, it helps me a lot here. They do go for a Liquidation, and they don't KO my Kangaskhan, thankfully. I would have been a little bit healthier, but let's see if it's going to actually come into play here. Unfortunately, I don't think I KO'd Araquanid with the +2 Sucker Punch. But whatever's coming in is getting hit by a potential +2 Sucker Punch. What was their Mega? I don't remember. Oh yeah, Altaria. It could be Altaria. Okay, Arcanine comes in. Rockhead on the Arcanine as well. You know what? If this is Extreme Speed, this is fine. You know what? I'm going to go for Disable into the Araquanid to prevent it from being able to go for Liquidation. I'm going to go for Sucker Punch into Arcanine. The reason is Arcanine can only knock me out with Extreme Speed as priority. Otherwise, they take the Sucker Punch. So if they do that, I can lock them in Extreme Speed with Encore, and then the Araquanid is disabled, which is really good for me. Okay, I get the Disable off. They didn't Extreme Speed either, so I should be able to get a Sucker Punch into Arcanine. The question is, does this KO? Arcanine's pretty bulky, but the damage is really nice still. Yeah, the damage is still pretty good. Okay, Liquidation disabled. They go for Flare Blitz. Ooh, into Sableye, which is actually really good for me. Okay. That's pretty nice. Now I can Encore the Araquanid into the Disabled, and they probably are going to Extreme Speed here, which is fine. I'm going to Sucker Punch the Arcanine because if they lock in Extreme Speed, it's the same play as I mentioned before. They actually switch out Arcanine, which is okay, into Hatterene, which is acceptable. And they Protect. But if they Protect, they're threatened by Encore, so I still think that this is a pretty good spot. My Ceruledge endgame could actually be scary if the Hatterene lives Dazzling Gleam. Actually, no, I still have Lucario full, so I should be okay. It's questionable against the Araquanid, though. I think my best play, though, still is to go for a Encore into the Araquanid, and we go for a Sucker Punch into the Hatterene. They could Protect, swap into Arcanine. But I don't know if the Hatterene has Protect. We'll find out, I suppose. But Arcanine in. Okay, nice. Sucker Punch. Ah, it's living. Oh, Citrus Berry too. Jeez. Okay, so this is Dazzling Gleam, which is fine. It's not great, but it's playable. Okay, it's gonna come down to a few factors here. So I can get a double knockout potentially, which would be nice. I think I have, do I lock into close combat or do I lock into, I wish I could bulk up in front of the, the problem is I don't think I knock out Arcanine with Shadow Sneak at this range. So I think I have to Meteor Mash, which isn't great. Yeah, I think I have to Bitter Blade Meteor Mash. I don't even know if Meteor or if Bitter Blade will KO the Hatterene. It seems really bulky. They Protect, okay. Meteor Mash into the Arcanine. KOs the Arcanine. I wish I went for Bulk Up instead, but they actually did have Protect. As we go for Bitter Blade. I think this just comes down to does Ceruledge live the Araquanid attack at +1? I think we always just protect Meteor Mash the Hatterene here, regardless, because we stall out a turn and that means Lucario gets more hits off in Araquanid. The only problem is, well, we know the Araquanid is not We know Araquanid is not citrus because the Hydreigon had citrus. We also need to hit the Meteor Mash. Okay, we hit Meteor Mash. Good. Attack boost. We do have a chance to get an attack boost. Nope. Hydreigon goes down. There should be liquidation into Ceruledge always. Yeah. I think it's just going to come down to does Ceruledge live, but if they're Mystic Water... I could go for Shadow Snake Meteor Mash into Meteor Mash, but the thing is, if it's Mystic Water, probably KOs Lucario anyway. I think I just gotta hope that like Ceruledge lives after one bulk up, but I think it's kind of unlikely. This is a Araquanid. Meteor Mash is resisted, so was close combat. I did decent damage, but I don't think it's near enough. If I survive this turn, it's massive, but if I don't, like it was over. Liquidation. Yeah, it's probably over. I didn't think I would live that, but I kind of had to. Like, what else was I going to do? I guess double protect would have given me better odds. Oh, it's leftovers too. So I'm kind of curious on how much Ceruledge takes. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a guaranteed KO, but might as well just see what the numbers were on this. So Araquanid, probably just max attack. Yeah, I can't win. Regardless, I kind of want to see how much the liquidation does to Lucario, but we'll see. I do think Trickham's a little bit rough, but I do think there are probably rounds. Like I could have gotten a bulk up on the Hydreigon protect, but I thought if they didn't protect the previous turn, it just was no chance of KOing regardless. But yeah, let's see if this is a Araquanid. It's a roll, but it's like very in the Araquanid's favor. This is max attack Araquanid. It's 75% chance to KO. Which I assume on a Trick Room team, most likely you are going to be running it. Lucario does survive. If it was Mystic Water, it was always losing here as well because the damage was just too much. And Araquanid having leftovers also means like I was never winning. So I do think maybe just... I think I probably could have played a bit more offensive. Araquanid switching was very likely. I think maybe I should have tried to capitalize on Araquanid switching. Maybe either set up a Sunny Day early with Sableye or go for a bulk up. Or just hard switch to Ceruledge. I think if I got a Sunny Day up earlier, I was probably in the spot. And the Araquanid switch was obvious. So maybe in that point, like, even though, like, sure, Araquanid could attack, it was more likely switching out, right? So I think I should have probably just Sunny Day'd that one turn. Because if I Sunny Day'd that one turn, I think there is a pretty decent shot I win the game just because I'm in Sun. I'd probably guarantee it. Because assuming no crits, because then I would live a liquidation in Sun, and I could have set up towards that end game. So I think I should have Sunny Day'd earlier for sure over the Encore because the switch out was very likely, I think. All right, we have Whimsicott, Basculegion, the Eternal Floette, Sneasler, Garchomp, Chandelure. Okay. Very interesting team. Encore Whimsicott is kind of annoying to deal with. Granted, it's not too bad. Mega Evolution wise, it's probably Eternal Floette for sure. I don't think it's Garchomp, maybe Chandelure. I think it's unlikely, but it's possible, I suppose. What am I doing here? I think I want Starmie Basculegion in this endgame. I don't really like Lucario. I think Lucario definitely gets hit the hardest without accomplishing much, especially under Tailwind offense. Sableye is not too bad. I don't know if it's worth exactly because there is the Floette and Whimsicott, so really strong Moonblast damage pressure. I think it's probably like Kangaskhan, Starmie, Hydreigon, and Ceruledge. I just don't know which order. I think Kangaskhan plus Starmie ain't a bad lead with Ceruledge plus Hydreigon. Let's try it out. I don't think they're leading the Chandelure. I think they're probably leading Whimsicott plus one of the offensive mons. I don't know if it's going to be... I don't think you would lead Floette against Ceruledge setup, but maybe they do. If they lead Sneasler, I could always... Or Floette next to Whimsicott, I could always swap out into Ceruledge. And I like Starmie to pressure Garchomp Whimsicott lead. Floette Garchomp. Okay, this works too. This works too. I get a free Starmie plus Kangaskhan. And do I want Scrappy for anything? Not really, because I can Sucker Punch Basculegion. I guess like Scrappy Fake Out though is kind of nice in general. But I think I'll just go for a Fake Out into the Floette, and I will just throw off an Ice Beam into the Garchomp. Because I don't know if the extra Fake Out damage will actually matter on Floette, and I do see myself potentially switching out Kangaskhan the next turn anyway into Ceruledge, so I think that's worth it. Let's see if you're Scarf Garchomp or you protect a Garchomp or you swap out. I think those are all reasonable plays here. I'm going for a pretty safe standard line. There's not really too much I can punish this turn. As we see both Pokemon stay in, so this is looking decently promising at the start, but we have no idea what they locked into. Okay. Float Mega Evolves. Probably Float protects at least. No, it does not. Okay, so I get a Fake Out off on the Float and an Ice Beam in the Garchomp. It is not Yachi. It does live the Ice Beam though. That's a very bulky Garchomp. And it gets frozen. Is it Lumberry? Citrus. Okay, so bulky Citrus makes sense. You know what? We'll take it. I'm not gonna complain about that. All right. I think I would still. I was debating about going Ceruledge this turn. Based on the Fake Out damage, I think Double Edge could probably knock out the Float though. And they're probably going to go for Dazzling Gleam, maybe swap here. I'm just going to Psychic the Garchomp and I'm going to Double Edge. Psychic covers a switch. And I'm pretty sure it would knock out the Garchomp. I think Ice Beam not KOing is actually super shocking. Maybe Psychic doesn't KO. Maybe it'll barely miss actually. Let's see. Actually, it's the same type of attack mode. No way it doesn't KO at 27. Yeah. I get rid of Garchomp. All right. And then this is Dazzling Gleam. Oh, that's a slow Float. Okay, here's a Double Edge. And I KO'd a Float. Okay. I wonder what the Garchomp was clicking. Like, the only move I could see that changes the situation is Rock Tomb. Maybe they broke the Sash on Starmie, but I don't think they were doing anything crazy there. So, you know what? We'll take it. Like, Whimsicott comes in. And Sneasler. Okay. Starmie looking pretty crazy, but you know what else is crazy? My Ceruledge. Ceruledge is also pretty good. So I'm going to go Ceruledge, and I'm just going to Psychic. Actually, I think I just sack Hydreigon, because Hydreigon's not doing anything. They could, like, Fake Out the Starmie. I might as well keep the Sash if it's still around. Realistically, I think I'm in a fine spot. They really did not have any good switch-ins afterward. Like, they really did not bring any good switch-ins, and the mons that they brought were super slow here, so it worked out. I guess they were prepared for, like, my setup line, but I actually went on the offense this time with Starmie because I felt like Starmie put on pressure against Garchomp. I thought I would one-shot it, but really bulky Garchomp. But yeah, we'll sack Hydreigon. I don't need it, and I'll keep the Fake Out pressure around in case I need it, but Ceruledge coming in makes sense for the close combat that they would go for, or the Dire Claw makes sense too. Is this Dire Claw Moonblast double up into Hydreigon? I don't mind if that happens. Also, I'm pretty sure it's either Jolly Sneasler or... Okay, that's fine. It's either Jolly Sneasler or Modest Whimsicott, or potentially both. It could be like Adamant Sneasler, but Sneasler was faster than Whimsicott, which is an interesting speed tier. We're going to go out into... It could be like Adamant Sneasler and Modest Whimsicott as well. But yeah, we go Kangaskhan now. We throw off a Fake Out into the Sneasler, and we go for a Bitter Blade into the Whimsicott, which should be pretty good to wrap this game up for the most part, because I can go for like Shadow Sneak afterward into the Whims. I don't really have to worry about Encore in this situation. And yeah, even though I wasn't able to set up Ceruledge, I felt like this time I actually had a bit more offenses, because my opponent had several Pokemon that were just weak to Starmie, and Ceruledge was pretty good into Float, as well as like these two Pokemon that we see on the screen, Sneasler and Whimsicott. So I can't really set up against this team either because of the Encore threat from Whimsicott, which makes it a little bit rough, but also the offense that they had with the Garchomp, as well as the, what's it called? Chandelure. Chandelure could actually be a bit scary offensively. So they do reveal Protect on both Pokemon, which is fine. They could Encore my Kangaskhan, I suppose. Do I risk Starmie? I guess. Because they still need like Dire Claw something into my Ceruledge. But here's the thing. I don't even know if Dire Claw Sleep saves them enough, because I don't think they do enough damage to Ceruledge to break through it in time regardless. And then they'll also have to watch about the Psychic as well. I guess I could have went for a Double Edge as well into the Sneasler. But the thing is, Whimsicott Moonblast damage doesn't matter much on the Ceruledge, and the Encore just makes me waste more turns. So I think here they're forced to Dire Claw the Ceruledge anyway. And I think it's either Dire Claw Moonblast double the Ceruledge, or it's going to be Encore and the Kangaskhan. But we'll see which one they decide to pick. Starmie in. They Dire Claw, and it looks like they Moonblast. I could have Double Edge, but that's fine. Okay, there's some RNG involved. Moonblast and a Starmie is cool. Not even a 2-shot. Okay. So are you Sash? You are not Sash, so it's Sneasler versus the world, so I should have this game locked. I also can't get Slept here, but I could get Infinitely Para, but the chances of that are so low right now. We go for Bitter Blade and we go for Protect with Starmie because we make them waste a turn. With their Swords Dance Sneasler, like, I don't think that's really that much of a concern here. They go for Protect to scout on my Protect, okay. But doesn't really change too much. We do find out that it is Jolly Sneasler though, because it is faster than my Starmie, so something to keep a note of. But regardless, Bitter Blade here, super safe. We go for a Psychic here. They go for Dire Claw on the Starmie. They hope for a full para. And then we fake out Bulk Up, I guess, the next turn. Is the sequencing that's going to happen? Is Starmie going to go down? But yeah, like, this thing cannot beat my Ceruledge. And we get the Bitter Blade off, so all we need is like one Shadow Sneak into the Sneasler, and yeah, that's exactly the case. Because it's probably Sash Sneasler. Or maybe it's Sash on the Basculegion or Chandelure. But yeah, we go into Kangaskhan, we click Fake Out Bulk Up here, I suppose. And we also have Sucker Punch. I don't know if Sucker Punch would actually knock out the Sneasler at this range. Just because the baby hit is not doing too much. So maybe Sneasler could live the Sucker Punch, but I could potentially get a Bulk Up off this turn, get a defense boost, and then it's even harder for Sneasler to break through my Ceruledge. So let's see. We go for Fake Out. We get a Bulk Up off. And yeah, this was just the best line because it gives me the most odds of winning the game. Like, it's really likely I win this game, but just for added measures because it means my opponent has to get even luckier into the Ceruledge to win. As they're going to go for close combat now. Oh, it actually just goes down to Sucker Punch. I'm actually a little bit surprised the first hit did that much, but I guess Sneasler's defense isn't that great. However, depends on the Sneasler set, but it definitely wasn't a bulky Sneasler. We are able to win that game, and yeah, I felt like we just had a really great start. The double knockout was really great, and again, Ceruledge was just able to clean up in the end game this time around. So, how was the team? I do think that the team does have some really strong points, especially like Ceruledge is a really good mon, I think, in the format. Just the fact that it is an actual fairy resist where it's kind of hard to come by those. And the Bitter Blade recovery is also really nice, allows it to be a really effective sweeper. Ceruledge can also take attacks pretty well. Shadow Sneak to threaten the Basculegions can be pretty nice as well. But you do really have to work for Ceruledge to be able to set up against a lot of Pokemon that just has a lot of weaknesses against. Of course, like Aerodactyl, Garchomp, Kingambit, Basculegion can be a little bit tough. I think Incineroar pivoting is also probably one of the hardest mons to deal with, really, because Parting Shot is not super easy to deal with. You can't Encore or disable the Incineroar, unfortunately, with the Sableye. So I do think it can be a little bit tricky there, and you also have like no way to one-shot Incineroar. So it can kind of stick around. Intimidate Cycle makes it really hard for Ceruledge to actually set up. So that's one, I think, a bit weakness of the team. Otherwise, like, most of your offense does come from Ceruledge. Like Kangaskhan, Starmie, Hydreigon, they do some decent damage, but there's not like an immediate wall breaker, I'd say, with the team. So it can lack a little bit on the damage output sometimes immediately. However, was it a really fun team that did have like a lot of potential? Yeah, I think I can definitely see why it got top 10. There's definitely like some pretty cool tricks. Of course, Sableye just being super disruptive, and it's really hard to guess some of the sets of this team, especially if you didn't see it on the first time. It's like, these are Pokemon you don't commonly see as much, so you're trying to figure out the sets, and you're trying to figure out which Mega Evolution it could be, because you have Lucario, Kangaskhan, and Starmie, as well as Sableye even. But yeah, I do think the team was really fun. If you do want to try it out, there is a replica code you could grab right here. You could also check out the creator down below in the description, as well as the details of the team. And of course, you can subscribe to the channel for more VGC content, as always.